So when we built Mention Me Influencer, we really wanted to create a solution that worked really hard for our brands, that allowed them to run an influencer campaign at scale. But that wasn't the only thing we looked at. We really also wanted to make an experience that worked for influencers, that made it easy and potentially even enjoyable to work with brands. And so in order to do that, we spent a lot of time talking to influencers to understand what worked, what didn't. And it felt only right that we didn't gatekeep those insights. So I'm very excited about this panel, and I want to thank Laila, Carmel, Faye, to get us started.
Yeah.
So my first question is an easy one. Do you want to introduce yourselves and tell us about how you got started, what kind of content you do, which channels you use?
Sure. Should I start?
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm Faye, and I started out in news. So I was a journalist. I worked for like the BBC, Channel 4 News, and I started doing news content on TikTok, but then fell into doing TV and film and music festivals because that's kind of where my passion lies. So that's how I started, and I mainly work on TikTok and a little bit on Instagram as well.
Okay, amazing. Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me. I'm Carmel. So I started influencing. I feel like I became an overnight influencer. I started off as a beauty model. So I was in the modeling industry for years, from the age of 15. And then I sort of just became an overnight influencer. I had an ex-boyfriend. His current girlfriend hacked my account. So I made like a parody on TikTok that went quite viral. And I just became an overnight influencer. So it worked in my favor. So yeah, and I started my journey through influencing. So I'm also inside the beauty industry, lifestyle, travel, music, journalism. And yeah, jack of all trades.
Hi everyone, I'm Laila, and well, I started back in 2018, but Reels did not exist, TikTok did not exist, and I was just posting like pictures of me trying out these products that were sent to me, and then I took a big break, which was uni. So I graduated, got my master's in fashion, and yeah, I decided to be more consistent in January 2025, went a couple times viral on TikTok, and I think that's a bit of the overnight push out, and yeah. That's it, posting fashion, especially beauty. As you can see, I've got a lot of big curly hair, so that's my main, and a lot of fashion and stuff, lifestyle. Well, nice to meet you.
Brilliant. Okay, we have a room full of marketers, and they want to know what are the tips and tricks to work with influencers. So, what makes you want to work for a brand, and more importantly, what are the big red flags?
It's a big question. So firstly, what makes me want to work with a brand, I think, is if it's like a bucket list brand that I've always wanted to work with who approaches me, that's the email that you always hope that's going to drop into your inbox, right? But also just like really cool money can't buy experiences, I think is really exciting. And then also if it's something that's being offered that is also being remunerated fairly, that you're also interested in, because trust is currency for influencers. Like, without your audience trust, you don't have an audience. So it has to be something that's authentic to you, I think.
I agree with you as well. For me, I think the biggest thing for me is diversity. Does the brand promote people that also look like me? Can I relate to the brand? And also the whole thing of you touching on trust. So there's a couple of brands, for example, Kurt Geiger, I'm currently wearing their heels right now. I've been able to build like a long-term relationship and trust. So that plays a huge part. But definitely for me, diversity. So yeah.
Well, I'd say our values align. Yeah, I'm a big Gen Z. I stand for my values, and so that. And should we talk about the red flags already?
Let's talk about the red flags, yeah.
Red flags, when I get an email and I can tell the brand did not look at my content. And the brief is so strict, doesn't give you that opportunity to, put in yourself, like your soul and your passion. And that's how we connect with our followers, because we know them the best, not really the brand. So I think that's my biggest red flag. And yeah.
One of my biggest red flags, touching on what you said as well, is the brief. I don't like working with brands that offer such a huge, strict brief, I feel like brands should also allow influencers some time. So for example, I call myself a bit of a lazy influencer. I tend to post when I feel like it's the right time to post. And sometimes, often brands want want a post within, let's say, I don't know, 2 working weeks, which is also fair on their part. But sometimes it's not as genuine if I have to post within a certain deadline. Just let me post when I can. So yeah.
Yeah. A big red flag for me is if what is being asked for in exchange isn't fair of what's being compared to what's being offered. So for example, if you are being offered as an influencer a gifted product or a gifted experience, but there's going to be no payment for that, but the brand expects 4 pieces of content which are going to take hours and hours of your time to do, and also for you to promote across multiple platforms, it's a big red flag, because what is being asked of you as the influencer is not equal to what is being offered in return.
Yeah, I do agree.
Big red flag.
You've mentioned briefs just
Yes.
now. I think briefs are extremely important, and this is where there can be tension between the brands and the influencers. Maybe a little control, but then a little kind of creative freedom. So tell us about how you think about briefs and what really works for you when a brand briefs you.
Yeah.
Do you want to start?
For me, I feel like with briefs, I do like the concept of briefs. I think it's fair on both parts. However, I can't relate to briefs that are like overly strict, to the point, for example, like I promote a lot of wigs. I work with a lot of wig brands. And sometimes the briefs will say, okay, we need a clear background, we need you in a white top, we need you with red lipstick.
Yeah.
And for me, it's like, how am I promoting a wig or a piece of hair and it's not authentic enough? You're not even paying for the service.
Yeah.
So
I love the fact that you said a white top and a red lip.
thank you. It wasn't planned. Yeah. What about you?
Okay. Yeah, a strict brief. I hate them, unfortunately. I got people sending me, you should be holding the product this way. And I'm like, oh, wow,
Yeah.
no, wait. Because that's not me. It's not authentic. My followers will be like, what are you doing? But then I think when they just send out that email, the first email, if the brief is already in there, it's like a big no-no.
Yeah.
Like, get to know me a little bit. Let's
Yeah.
talk first. And then be like, okay, based on what we said, here's the brief. You tailor it to me, to my content, to my followers. And then, yeah, I think from there, we're on a big,
We're good.
yeah, we're good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, Faye?
I love when a brand reaches out and they've clearly done their research into you and they point out things about your existing content that have hit their markers and say in the email, we want to work with you because we love your style of this video. Can you do that about our product but recreate it in your style? Because we talked about trust at the beginning. Without trust, you have no audience. And your audience can instantly see through if you're talking about something that you wouldn't normally promote. I think you talked about, Carmel, like you have to have the white top and the red lip. If that's not you,
Yeah.
your audience can instantly see that. So I think it's great that brands go away and do their research. The amount of emails I get every week that say, hi, somebody else's name, or hi, influencer, that's an instant straight in the bin email. And it's, as a marketer, it's a waste of your time as well. And it's a minor mistake, but it could spoil the relationship from the off. So that's a red flag also.
To touch upon what you're saying, one of the main brands I love working with is restaurants, because restaurants just let you do what you can do. Fair enough, the food is free, you're posting content, but I think with restaurants, the content is a bit more authentic because they don't brief you. They just tell you, here is the budget, create the content. And that's what blows up on TikTok.
Yeah.
So a lot of the times, the restaurants that I go to is because someone else has promoted it on TikTok. So yeah, but other influencers do say, oh, influencers lie about the services that they receive.
Yeah.
oftentimes, because when they go there, they might not receive the best service as well. So,
Yeah, I actually love that story of, you got some backlash because the restaurant didn't offer an authentic experience to you. They offered you a better experience.
Yeah.
And then your followers didn't get the same experience. So as much as you want to kind of, give the VIP treatment to your influencers, it needs to be an authentic experience, right? It needs to feel true to the brand as well.
Exactly.
Yeah. I was blown away when you told me that story. So obviously we've talked a lot about trust and authenticity, and you've mentioned it. It's as if we planned this. You mentioned it so many times throughout this panel. But I want to talk a little bit about the content. So Laila, specifically, I know you post both on Instagram and on TikTok.
Yeah.
How does trust and authenticity show up for you there?
First of all, it's completely different content. It feels like on Instagram, I am a bit more perfect, always showing the end result, the aesthetic. You're inspiring people on Instagram. While on TikTok, I'm their best friend. They're person that you just go and look at, and I can chit chat on the camera and just be a little bit more real. So definitely on TikTok, I can express myself at the best. And then they just follow me for that. So I think there's that trust, there's that authenticity, and transparency. Every time I post about something, one of the last brand collabs, I was using this hair serum, and everyone was like, oh my gosh, they got you too, because it's quite popular. And I was like, actually, I am struggling with maybe hair growth, so this is why I'm showing it to you guys. And I feel like a lot of people followed me because one of the videos that I posted about hair growth, and that's how the brand found me. And so I kind of moved it and turned into, again, I'm doing it for you, and I'm showing you that it actually works, and it's not just that they got me too.
Yeah.
While on Instagram, it's all pretty coffee shops, and then little outfit videos. So yeah, just being more authentic on TikTok definitely than, still authentic on Instagram, but prettier, I would say.
I think that goes back to the brief, right? So if you're super restrictive in your briefing, you miss on that authentic content for the right channel. So again, building that relationship with the influencer is so important. And so it's about, finding ways that you can be super efficient, but so that you have room to build that relationship. It's a two-way relationship. Okay, so we went through the red flag. They use your correct name. They given you the right brief. What makes, once you're starting, what makes working with a brand nice? What makes you want to continue the relationship?
That the comms are really clear, so everybody knows where they are in terms of what's expected, when it's expected, what's being offered in exchange for what. It's very realistic. And also, if it is a paid-for opportunity, that there's a contract in place and you get paid on time. So important. And when we were preparing for this panel, I shared with Cam that I did work with quite a large movie studio this time last year. I still haven't been paid. And it was for quite a large film that came out last year. It was one of the big movies of the year. They asked me to create content around it. I still haven't been paid. We're probably going to go to small claims, which is so annoying and so unnecessary, because for the brand, it's not a large amount of money. But other influencers for the same campaign have been paid on time, and I haven't. Luckily, there's a contract in place, but just pay on time. If you got an influencer to join your social media team in-house, they would be expected to pay on time, so why are influencers not paid on time?
Yeah, I do agree with what you're saying. I hate late invoices. I'm going to chase you for my money. So it's very important, I think, because the work has been done. So I think it's just fair. Regarding one thing I love about working with brands is feeling valued.
Yeah.
Sometimes you walk into a room and until you state what your Instagram is, you're not valued. No one cares about you. Yeah, I've had that before with brands that I've worked with as well. But then it's are you genuine? So feeling valued when you're working with a brand is very important. That's why I keep a lot of the brands that I work with very close, because it's not just been a month's relationship, it's been years of work. Mm-hmm. And yeah, feeling valued, feeling like you're appreciated for your work, and yeah, just invoices on time.
Yes. I would say transparency again. If the brand is transparent with you, excuse me, sending you the brief, but then you got that conversation going. They know you, you know them. I'm a consumer first, and then a creator. So if your products align with me, of course I will work with you. And yeah, definitely paying on time. And if it is a gifted collab, I do love a feedback, so I'll do that. So post and then require for feedback, and that really pushes to continue the partnership and go forward even for other campaigns or things like that, yeah.
I love that. It really, again, it goes back to that relationship with the brand. It's not only about the exposure, the revenue, and all of that. Obviously, that's really important, but about getting that feedback, having, experts that really try your product. And this is kind of where, like, starting from the consumer base also makes a lot of sense. Right. So if we take anything away from today, pay your influencers on time. But we have about a minute left. Any parting tips, any kind of, if you want anybody to kind of, the big takeaway from today?
I think if you want a long-lasting partnership with an influencer, trust and respect has to be at the center of it. We have to respect each other in this relationship, and you just have to do your research, make sure that your values align, and it saves a lot of time on both sides. Those are my takeaways.
I think for me, authenticity. I'm a woman of an ethnic minority, and one thing I could say about anyone of color, or we're very good consumers, so it's very important. An example is a makeup brand. There's an influencer that I know, makeup brands shake when she posts because they know that if she doesn't like the product, no one's buying it. So it's very important to ensure, no matter what your brand is, make sure that you can allow it to relate to not just one category or one group of people, allow it to relate to everyone else. Because like I state, in the makeup industry, ethnic minorities are the highest consumers. So it's very important. Yeah.
Yeah. And again, in 2025 with AI, Gen AI, I think followers or just people are looking for real, authentic content they can relate to. I think I can't say it. Being able to relate to somebody and really like follow them and be like, oh, I love that product. She tried it. I'm gonna try it as well because she's true. Like that, I think it's a big thing to take away.
Sorry, one thing to say.
Yeah, go for it.
A brand I recently worked with, I remember having a go at them one time because I felt like they would use influencers but then cater more to celebrities. We can't relate to celebrities, and I think people need to understand it's important to, fair enough, you might have a celebrity promote your products, but it's not always authentic. So your biggest consumers are influencers and their followers. Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much. I hope you guys all learned a lot from Laila, Carmel, and Faye. But thank you so much. It was brilliant.
Thank you.
That story about being hacked is still crazy. So.
Thank you.